Hello, greetings and welcome to the Combi Station powered by earGROUND. This is the platform that brings you some of Africa's finest voices. And today I'll be speaking to an icon, a guy who is coming from Nigeria. Yes, Nigeria, but he's currently in Zimbabwe. We'll be talking a bit about that and a whole lot more. Greetings.
Mr. Plot.
How do I say greetings in your language? You speak Yoruba?
Yeah, I speak Yoruba.
Yoruba.
Greetings is a casson.
The castle.
That's like good afternoon.
Good afternoon. But is that street language or?
No, that's like normal language.
I need the street language.
The street language is how you do.
How you day?
How you do.
And how do I respond?
It's I do.
I do. How you day?
I do.
I do. Awesome. Wow, man, thank you so much for coming through to Zimbabwe. You've been sharing a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge. And it's actually said that at some point you have to leave the country and go back to Nigeria. Yeah. But can we still here and make you a Zimbabwean and we give you a place to stay here? And
why not, man? The weather here is good. Just give me a small, good place. I'll always be back. Especially when you give it, especially when you have those steak that you give me.
Like the steak.
Yesterday.
You see the beauty of Zimbabwe. I mean, we've got some of the beautiful steak, like real steak, nice steak.
Yeah.
Wow. But for people that are watching you now,
yeah.
Who is Adebayo?
Well, my name is Kayode Adebayo. I'm from Nigeria. I'm from the southwestern area of Nigeria called inhabited by the Yoruba people. I'm from the Yoruba tribe.
Great.
And cultural people, respectful people, very hardworking people. We place a lot of emphasis on education, so everybody, an average Yoruba person probably has a bachelor's degree.
Wow.
And a lot of them have masters, a lot of them are professors, and a lot of them are business people. Yeah, so that's who I am from a traditional or tribal point of view.
Yes.
Well, basically for me, I see myself more as a culture curator, and being a culture curator, I think I'm saddled with the responsibility of being able to, pass the message of how culture can be a real business. How culture can be monetized, how culture can be, and the monetization comes from different angles. You monetize through technology, you monetize through events, you monetize through creating value that people will want to take money from their pockets and be able to pay for. So I've done that for quite a long time. From a university training point of view, I'm an estate surveyor and valuer, and I did that in university. I practiced for a while, and I entered into the construction business. And then from the construction business, we also started a hospitality business, more like what we call this whole Airbnb business. We run that in Nigeria. Also, then the media thing came.
How did you get
into the
from
media?
Real estate to media?
Yeah, I've always been a music guy. Always loved music. Always enjoyed the naughty by natures, the Rex and Effects, and all those guys. I've always been that guy, and somehow I don't know. I understood very early that the Nigerian music industry was going to blow up, because I understood somehow.
Around which years? Like at what point did you start seeing the potential?
I started seeing. I kind of like starting from around 94 thereabouts. I had started telling my friends that, look, this industry is going to blow up. So it's better you start to position yourself for when it's going to blow up, because I saw that there was a lot of content, especially in music, and I knew that the only thing that was needed then was to be able to translate it properly into video. And I saw people already walking in that direction. They started very poorly, but you could see the consistency, the videos changing little by little, getting better. So I was telling people then that this industry is going to blow up, because number one, Nigeria has a huge market, 200 million people, and we understood how big our influence, and Nigerians are everywhere in the world. So I knew that there was something that was going to happen, something you just feel in your guts, basically. How did I enter into the music? I love music right from time. But I didn't want to be a music person because I understood I was bigger than music. I knew music was very streamlined. So I decided to come more from a media angle where I take music, I combine it with film, I combine it with creative art, I combine it with technology, and that's what we're able to do. So we started a media company. First, I started an entertainment network company with a friend of mine. And we did the hustle. We moved around, we got some good deals because we had a project that we did with the Tectona Media Company, CNN.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a global peace campaign project where we handled the whole soundtracking and we handled the whole music creation aspect of it.
What's your general perspective about Zimbabwe? The first impression that you do?
Yeah, Zimbabwe, they are not very different from West Africans. You know, I think outlook-wise, face features and everything. Then I think Zimbabweans you guys have a unique accent. Your accent is, it's unique. I kind of find out that when you guys switch between English and your accent, you kind of like have two accents at the same time, even when you are speaking English. There's a clean kind of English accent, and then there's the normal English, local English accent, apart from your traditional local accent. So I like that. Then Zimbabweans are very, they are hustlers. I like the fact that they are hustlers, they are creative people. And they are creative, they are hustlers, and you guys are kind of, I'm not sure, but it seems like you guys seem like a family somehow.
True. It's quite interesting because everybody is related to the other person, either by surname, by where you're coming from, by where you live, by your totem, or where you work, like where you went to school. Everybody becomes your relative. Yeah. So the neighbor is my aunt, the other neighbor there is my uncle, is my sister, and you marry that family, and then like everybody's interconnected.
Yeah, that's how it is in Nigeria also. I think we even call each other. You say that's my brother. Yeah. But eventually you find out that it's not his brother per se. It's more like a cousin or maybe like someone that lives in his or her area, and they just happen to meet in Lagos. So all of a sudden they are sisters. So. Yeah, so it's like the same culture, so we are kind of like the same. Maybe a little bit of cultural difference here and there, but I think at the end of the day, we are all Africans and we come from one same source. Right. We might have a little bit different expressions here and there, but I think it's still, we're Africans, man.
Great. You run one of the biggest platforms on the continent, CKROWD, and you also run the M-First. And you come from a very interesting real estate background. Can you tell us who's Adebayo and what got you into the industry? Like just a bit about your background.
Yeah, to be humble. Yeah. CKROWD is a startup company that we created to be able to help. We noticed a big gap in the video business, and we decided that Africa, it was time for Africa to take a main stage in the video business, because at the end of the day, the return on investment in video must be worth it. And when you look at the other platforms, not to mention names, the other Western platforms that serve people globally on a video level, the return on investment is very poor. And because
how come we thought they are like the most reliable, the most paying?
Yeah, because you don't have any other choice. When you don't have choice for something, you think the one you are on is the best. And this is the situation. The moment you invest in videos, cost 12 times, at least 10 to 12 times more than the song of an artist.
True.
And artists now depend on music alone to generate the revenue to cover for the song and for the video at the same time. So that's why you notice the artists continually are in a state of hand to mouth. And
we have a revolution happening musically.
Okay.
And Nigeria is leading that revolution. We grew up listening to stars from the West, and everything that was cool, that was fancy, that was nice, film, music, fashion-wise, was mainly coming from the West. But now Nigeria has changed that narrative. We see Nigeria leading the Afrobeat, leading even with the film. On Netflix, Nigeria has the most collection of films, right? And on many other platforms, fashion, Nigeria is leading. The music shift in Nigeria, Afrobeat. How did that happen?
Well, the Afrobeat journey for Nigeria has not been anything less than 30 years. I don't think it has been anything less than 30 years. Yeah, Fela, the narrative is that Fela, the Afrobeat. Please notice that there's two Afrobeats. There's the one with the S and there's one with no S.
With no S.
So Fela started the Afrobeat without an S. He started and created the genre. Just like you have Tukuzi here, how he created the Tuku sound. Fela started the Afrobeat sound. And it's performance driven. It has theatrics around the music, because the music doesn't only appeal to you audio wise, it appeals to you to visual wise. So he made sure that he created a space where people can go and enjoy the music and have a sense of understanding of what he was talking about. So he has dancers, they have unique costumes, and when you see Fela is like a kind of like a musical genius, a classically trained artist. So his music, he blended African sound into it, and it was a movement that was happening around that time, because he went to Trinity Music School in London, which is like the elite music thing. But the good thing about it is that when Fela started it, this new one that you are listening to now, and there are other genres of music apart from Afrobeat. So there's the Fuji music, there's the Juju music, there's the Akpala music, there's a lot of music basically. And when Fela started, he started it, and but the music we have now, which is the Afrobeats, it's like a revolutionary sound. It's like something. It's like the young people were trying to gain expression, because Nigeria too, we have this our whole situation of government, and how the government is trying to kind of hold the people down, the young people. Job opportunities was not a lot, because Nigeria is a huge population. So the youths found a way to use Afrobeat to express themselves, to kind of like talk about the situations that are happening on their streets, talk about the situations that are happening with their girlfriends, talk about situations that are happening even with government. So so that's how the beat started.
Nigeria is leading culturally, creative-wise, from film, dance, theater, and musically, fashion. But Afrobeats with an S, right, is actually the leading genre from the continent, and it has become a global sound. What was the genesis? How did this really happen?
Afrobeat started, this whole movement of what got Afrobeat to where it is now, started nothing less than 30 years ago. Fela was huge at that time, because he was kind of campaigning against the government, and he formed a new sound, a fresh new sound, a genre that only him, he pioneered it, and he just came freshly, not too long before that time. He went to the Trinity Music School, which is a premium music school in I think London. And he experimented a little bit out with different genre of music, and eventually was able to find a kind of sound that is uniquely Nigerian, African, and was able to have a kind of like a lingua style that was understood by nearly every person in Nigeria from end to end. And Fela was very artistic, so his music was not just about the sound, it was about the visual appeal. So he had a unique dance group that services the music at all times. So there was a theater element to what he was doing. So but when he passed, the young people were looking for different ways to be able to continue that camp. So there were ways they were looking for to be able to communicate and to express themselves. They played around with the Western music first, the rap thing. You saw a lot of Nigerians there trying to rap and all that, but it didn't really catch on. But somehow along the line, there was this group of two men that came. Their names were called, there was one called Kenny Ogungbe, and there was one called Dayo Adeneye. They were like partners. They just came freshly back from the United States. And they were DJs before they left, I think. But when they came back, it was just about a time when there was a media revolution in Nigeria, where private sector people were given power to be able to do its licenses to do station. And one of them happened to be the in-law of the radio owner, of the radio station owner. So he gave them a free hand to do a lot of stuff. So those people were the guys that were like, you know what, why don't we find ways to be able to make music and sound Nigerian and continue to love our style? And they started by signing up some new guys. They called them the Remedies. There were 3 guys, and they did well. After that, I think the breaking point for them was that they signed Two-Face, Idibia.
For us, that was actually one of the major introduction to the urban sound, Nigeria, Two-Face. And I remember when this song came up and the video, most people were thinking it was Jamaican, and I think it took so many months for people to figure out that this guy was actually coming from Nigeria.
Yeah, so. Two-Face was in a group called the Plantation Boys. They were crazy with the voice, as in they were like the guys with the voice. And somehow the Kenny Ogungbe partnership took Two-Face out of the group and launched Two-Face in a direction which even catapulted the company into another level. That's aside from Two-Face. So Two-Face, it was like a mutual situation where Two-Face was the one that took them global. So the idea basically was that when they started, somehow they got the idea that let's form collaborations with our West African brothers, Ghana, and decided to do music together. Then South Africa too started coming out with a lot of music then through Channel O. And then somehow those guys find a way to be able to come to South Africa, started mixing music with South Africa, and then it was around that time that Two-Face came up with the African Queen thing, which took it out of Nigeria, and it became a soundtrack for a modestly successful film too, Fat Girls, and it was a soundtrack to that. And so that's how the Nigerian music thing started. And the moment people found out that, oh, people were listening to this thing, the young people just started driving that force. And then I think what helped was that a lot of people quickly caught on with the skill to use technology to create music. With the softwares, and the guys with the video guys with the softwares for editing videos, and the whole thing just went crazy. And and we started consuming Nigerian music in Nigeria a lot. Then after a while,
radio, what sort of mediums?
Yeah, radio was big. Radio was big. It was very big, and video too. Through the TV stations were big.
They were playing a lot of local content.
Yeah. After a while, I think there was a law that was enacted that said that every song that every radio station must play, at the least 60% of their music must be Nigerian, and that drove a lot of. Even up to now, when you get to the stage, you go to parties now in Nigeria, you don't hear any foreign song. You don't hear any foreign, end to end African music all through. When you find maybe few African ones that enter that space, you find maybe like Diamond Platinums. You find like the guy like now or the Focalistic.
With
the video.
Amapiano is playing there.
Yeah, Amapiano. But of course, Afrobeat is like 90%. So a lot of people started making music. Then
there was a time when some of the big artists now in Nigeria, they moved to South Africa. They were trying to make it in South Africa. What was it like?
No, I think what happened there was that it was more of like they wanted video expressions that were fresher, that were more unique, because I think South Africa then was going through a video revolution. Then they were trying to put a lot of energy into creating their own film industry. Nigerians were known for putting out a lot of films, but they were not exactly known for quality. And I think right now it has become even a brand. That even if you make a film, Nigerian film, very quality now, you might not even get a lot of people to watch it. You understand? So what happened there was that South Africa had fresher equipment, more unique equipment, and more unique sound, in the sense of the studios were very ultra modern, and the film, the cameras they use, and the editing game there was better. So Nigerians went there with that view that I can have a banging video. I'm using a fresh new location. So if a good song hits a good visual, then it goes crazy. And that was what took Nigeria the Afrobeats into London.
Oh,
because people could now relate with the videos better, and the videos were more like very international standard. So London, because a lot of Nigerians in London, started embracing the music. They started becoming, Nigerians living in London became more proud of the genre, and they were introducing it to their Jamaican friends, they were introducing it to their other African friends, and that's how it started.
So the diaspora community in UK mainly, from Nigeria, played an important role in making and pushing the music genre.
Yes, they played a role, because the UK, England, is the second biggest music market in the world. So if you enter the second music market in the world and you dominate it, then the reach is just for the first, basically. So, and Nigerians are in a lot of countries. So because of that, the US too, the diaspora started working in the US, listening to the music. Everywhere there are Nigerians, people were going with Nigerian music to listen to the music in wherever country they were. So I think that served as, then the band people, the band team, we call them the Mohits, they came after that, and those guys were relocating from the UK. So they brought that whole UK swag to Nigeria and dominated the music there then. It was from there that the collaborations, international collaborations, started to really flow, where you saw the band doing collaborations with Snoop Dogg, when you saw the band doing quite a lot of, then he signed a deal with the Kanye West, for that good music deal. So that's what allowed the band music called Oliver Twist to trend so strongly in London, and it came into the charts in London. So that was what solidified Afrobeats as a genre to pay attention to in the UK. So the radio picked it up and started doing a lot of magic with it.
And was language not a barrier? Because some of the songs were not entirely English. Some that were English, they had a lot of pidgin. Was it not a barrier?
Well, I don't think it was a barrier. And why I don't think it was a barrier was that, of course, these Nigerians were already consuming it. And Nigerians are very influential. So the
locals, the Nigerians, consumed their own first. And then the world started to believe them.
Started to believe them. And Nigerians are very festival inclined. So you have a naming ceremony, for example, you name your child, you do a party, they play your music. Nigerians are very ceremony inclined, they do birthdays, they celebrate it, they play your music. Nigerians are so Nigerians are like a mini concert people. They're always having a kind of like a concert, an opportunity to always play Nigerian music. So when you bring people into your circle, you have Chinese friends, you have Jamaican friends, you have Swedish friends, and they come to enjoy your party with you. They hear your music. When they get into your car and you are driving them, they hear your music. So there was like an organic distribution process that was going. Then when the internet now came and became very forefront, it just went ballistic.
Wow.